Investing into the stock market has never been easier, and with ETFs on the rise, revolutionizing how many invest, I'm about to show you 5 ETFs that are all you need in 2026 to start having your money work for you. Which, if you don't know what ETFs are, they're pretty much a way to invest into hundreds to thousands of different investments, all within one purchase. But before we get started, my name is Sully. I run the company InvestLane with the mission to help others save and invest wisely to build lasting wealth. And all I ask is that if you do find value from this video, that you consider hitting the like and subscribe button for future content like this. With that said, let's first go over 2 ETFs that I consider to make up the core of this kind of portfolio. Now, the first ETF to mention here is the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, VTI, where this fund tracks the CRSP US Total Market Index that is made up of large, mid, and small cap size companies diversified across growth and value styles. All in all, VTI offers a simple way for you to gain exposure to nearly all publicly traded US stocks, and for some, just owning this fund alone for the long term may be all you need. But to quickly break down the key things to know about VTI, the fund officially launched in May of 2001, and it is actually the 4th largest ETF in the world currently, based on its assets under management being $575 billion. Besides that, it's also super cheap to own, coming in at a 0.03% expense ratio, which means for every $10,000 that you invest, you would be paying $3 per year in fees. And because VTI is the total US stock market, the fund currently has 3,512 holdings, where the top ones include companies like Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft that each make up around 5 to 6% of the entire fund. And if we add up those top 10 holdings that I just showed, they make up almost 35% of the weight toward the fund. Which, not to mention, but a key data point I personally like looking at is the amount of technology exposure that a fund has, which this is actually the largest sector in VTI, where VTI has about 38.5% of the entire weight toward the technology sector. Besides that, VTI over the past year has paid out a dividend yield of 1.10%, where almost 94% of the dividends, if you held onto them long enough, they could have been treated as qualified dividends as of 2025, which means that the majority of the income that you would get could be taxed at the long-term capital gains tax rates, which are much more favorable, being 0, 15, or 20%, depending on your financial situation. I'll mention more on that throughout the video, but realize that the lower the dividend yield and higher potential qualified dividends, the more tax efficient your investment will be, which is extremely important, especially if you are looking to maximize the growth potential from investing over time, especially in taxable accounts. But knowing that, VTI pays out dividends on a quarterly basis, and as of January 31st of 2026, the fund has grown about 15.5% over the past year, which includes the expense ratio factored into this, and it also assumes that you are reinvesting the dividends. If we then look over the past 3-year average, that is just over 20%. Over the past 5 years, VTI averaged 13.5%. And then over the past 10 years, VTI has averaged just over 15% per year. Now, be aware that if you are one looking to buy an S&P 500 ETF like VOO, the amount of overlap by weight between these funds would be super high, and that actually came out to be 88%. And so realize that if you don't care for the small and mid-cap exposure through VTI, an S&P 500 ETF like VOO, SPYM, or IVV, they would all be great options to consider. Now, I'm going to cover 3 different portfolio examples later in the video, but the second ETF that I consider to make up the core is through the Schwab US Large Cap Growth ETF, SCHG, that tracks the Dow Jones US Large Cap Growth Total Stock Market Index. Now, SCHG is made up solely of large companies that are also growth oriented, and also realize that there are 2 other top alternatives that you may want to consider here that are actually some of the largest ETFs in the world, where the exact ones would be Invesco's QQQ or Vanguard's VUG. Each of those ETFs would be a great option to consider, but I have just found SCHG to be my personal favorite. So to break it down first, realize that SCHG initially launched in December of 2009. The fund has $52 billion in assets under its management, an expense ratio of 0.04%. There are 198 holdings, where the top ones are also very similar to VTI, because you can see Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft, they are still at the top, but now these funds carry much more weight to them. And so when we combine those top 10 holdings, they make up 58% of the entire fund, where the largest sector is technology, that makes up 48% of the weight. The dividend yield over the past 12 months came out to be 0.36%, which is super low, and it computed a potential and qualified dividends to be nearly 100%. Besides that, over the past year, SCHG has grown at nearly 13%. Over the past 3, it's averaged about 28.5%. Over the past 5 years, it's averaged about 15.5%. And then if we look over the past 10 years, it has averaged almost 19% per year, where the fund currently has a 54% overlap by weight with the S&P 500. Now, something that might surprise you is that if you started with $100,000 10 years ago into SCHG and you invested $500 per month into the fund, by today, you would now have over $700,000. So with just VTI and a growth large cap US fund like SCHG, QQQ, or VUG, you could easily invest into them, and that could easily make up the core to an investment portfolio, and over time, it's likely to do very well. But knowing that, the next section I find very interesting that most don't talk about, and that is about momentum ETFs. Now, there are 2 ETFs that stand out here, but realize that momentum ETFs, they pretty much invest in stocks that have recently shown a strong performance, with the idea to capture some of that upside where the stocks are continuing in an upward trend in hopes that they're going to continue going up. But the first to mention here is the Invesco S&P 500 Momentum ETF that is based on the S&P 500 Momentum Index, where it tracks the performance of stocks in the S&P 500 index that have a high momentum score. And so this fund initially launched in October of 2015. It has $13 billion in assets under its management, a 0.13% expense ratio, a total of 100 holdings, where the top 10 make up just over 50% of the entire fund. Technology makes up about 34% of the fund, where the dividend yield over the past 12 months was 0.74%, with the potential of 100% in qualified dividends if you held on to it long, and that would also be paid out on a quarterly basis. But the key thing here to notice is how well the fund has done recently, where over the past year, it's grown over 20%. Over the past 3 years, it's averaged about 30%. Over the past 5 years, that average was 19%. And over the past 10, it was 18.5%. And there's only a 30% overlap by weight with the S&P 500. All in all, a fund like this, especially in a strong market, could really outweigh the cost. And when we compare it to a standard S&P 500 ETF like VOO that averaged 15.5% per year on average over the past 10 years, that means SPMO has actually outperformed that fund by over 3% per year on average, which as you invest over time can make a huge difference. But knowing that, the second momentum ETF here is for those that want to gain international exposure, and that is through the Invesco S&P International Developed Momentum ETF, IDMO, that is based on the S&P World excluding US Momentum Index. Now, I personally like to keep international exposure very low, and I also prefer to own them in tax-advantaged accounts like my Roth IRA because they're not very tax-efficient investments. But if you are one looking for international exposure with the potential for additional growth, I found IDMO to be a great option to consider. But don't get me wrong, if you are one that would rather broad exposure to the international markets just to keep things even simpler, the Vanguard FTSE Developed Markets ETF VEA is a top option to consider and is actually the 6th largest ETF in the world from having $206 billion in assets under management. Now, IDMO is not as popular or well known, but I do think it's one to at least know about and consider, where the fund initially launched in February of 2012. There's only $3 billion in assets under its management, a 0.25% expense ratio with 182 holdings in the fund, where the top 10 make up about 27% of the weight. Now, IDMO is super low on the tech exposure, having just under 4% of the weight toward technology, but especially if you want an income, IDMO has paid out over the past year a 3.6% dividend yield, and from 2025, realize that this is not very tax efficient, where about 29% of that income could be potential in qualified dividends if you held it long enough. But in the end, just realize as you invest into this, it is not a tax efficient investment. But do realize that international stocks have done very well recently, where you can see IDMO over the past year, it has grown about 42% in value. Over the past 3 years, it's averaged 24.5%. Over the past 5, that was about 14%. And then over the past 10 years, the fund has averaged about 12% per year. And if you are one looking to gain that diversification, realize that there is no overlap by weight at all with the S&P 500. Now, remember, you don't need need an international ETF within a portfolio because many US companies like Nike or McDonald's, they have a large part of their business generating revenue throughout the entire world, and I personally only recommend using international funds in tax advantaged accounts. That's my own opinion, but I do use IDMO in my Roth IRA. But knowing that, the last one to mention here is an income ETF. Now, for those that want a slightly less volatile investment that can also pay out a nice income, the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF SCHD is a solid option to consider. And so the fund tracks the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index. It launched in October of 2011. It has $76 billion in assets under its management, a 0.06% expense ratio, 102 holdings, where the top 10 make up just about 40% of the fund. Technology is relatively low at only 8% of the weight toward the fund, where over the past year, it has paid out a dividend yield of 3.6%, where you could reap the potential for 100% in qualified dividends, where the dividends here are also paid out every quarter. Besides that, realize that SCHD has grown 11.3% over the past year, and then if we look at the past 3-year average, that was just over 9%. The past 5 years was about 11%, and over the past 10 years, that was 12.73%, which underperforms the S&P 500 by a decent amount. But if you also like that diversification away from tech and the S&P 500, there is only a 7% overlap by weight with the S&P 500. So if you like the idea of diversifying a portfolio, reaping a tax-efficient income while reducing volatility in a poor market, then SCHD could be a great option to consider. All right, so with just 5 funds, you can pretty much gain all the exposure you would need with the potential to outperform the market. So let's now go over a few portfolio examples. Now realize that all these portfolio examples are just generic, and I'm not directly saying that you should do this, but the first portfolio that we have to mention here is if you are looking for growth, where a 4-fund portfolio would actually be best suited for this, where I would say to keep it simple, and let's say that you place SCHG as the largest holding with 50%, then VTI at 30%, and then 10% into both SPMO and IDMO each. And when I compute this through Portfolio Visualizer, it comes out to show that this 4 ETF growth portfolio would have averaged almost 17.5% of an annual return over the past 10 years, which is over 2% higher per year on average than VOO. Now realize that if you are investing for growth, the reason I prefer SCHG as the largest holding is because it's already well diversified, growth oriented, and the tax efficiency from doing this over many years is extremely beneficial. But let's say that you're now looking for a more moderate approach. You may instead want VTI as the foundation with, let's say, 50% of the portfolio, to then having 20% each toward the growth fund SCHG, and then 20% toward the dividend fund SCHD, leaving you with 5% each toward the momentum ETFs, IDMO, and SPMO. With this fund, you would have averaged just over 15% per year, being slightly higher than the S&P 500, with the worst year's performance being just slightly less. Or let's say that you're one looking to take a conservative approach to even reap a potential income, you may now want VTI and SCHD to be the top by each having 40% of the weight, with SCHG at 10%, IDMO and SPMO each having 5% of the weight. Now realize that this would have slightly underperformed the S&P 500 by averaging 14.39% per year over the past 10 years, but its worst year and maximum drawdown would have been slightly better. But the most important thing to think about here is that if you are one looking for an income, it's that you still want to get into investments that can appreciate strongly in value, because as you invest over time, not just does your portfolio grow, but so would your dividends. For example, using a $100,000 conservative portfolio I just mentioned with the 5 ETFs, you can see that in 2017, your dividend income from the year would have been $2,440. But as your investment grows in its true underlying value, so do your dividends, and by 2025, you would have generated a total of almost $7,000 in dividends, all while having your $100,000 initial investment now be worth $339,000. All right, knowing that, let's now go over some key takeaways that are crucial to know about as you invest. The first thing is that if you are looking to take an income and go toward dividend investments, that you are considering that trade-off of the potential growth because your actual portfolio's value is likely not going to grow as well. Whether that be that dividend companies don't grow as much over time, or the impact from tax drag that can significantly impact and lower your actual returns, dividend investing is definitely meant for the right time and place. So if you're young and don't care about the dividend income anytime soon, really think more towards that growth-oriented portfolio side and aim for US companies that are growth oriented, that are much more tax efficient, and they use their profits to reinvest for growth rather than paying a dividend to shareholders. By owning tax efficient ETFs like SCHG and SPMO, and even an S&P 500 ETF like VOO, IVV, or SPYM, you only improve the likelihood of having much more money in your pocket as you invest over time. Now, remember this key phrase that I love referring to when it comes to investing, and that is growth now, dividends later. And even better is if you invest on your own in something like a Roth IRA, where you can literally invest however you want, literally invest into the best long-term growth investments that you can find and believe in, so that as you near retirement, you can transition into more dividend-oriented investments, where once you reach that eligible age of 59 and a half or above, you can reap a complete tax-free dividend income. Not to mention, but if you max out your Roth IRA every year throughout your entire career and average 10% per year, you would end up with $2.4 million. But say you went more for growth and took on that risk and accepted volatile moments and just continued to buy in, and say you averaged 12% per year instead, you would end up having another $1.5 million in your pocket, making a total of $3.9 million. And the amount of tax-free dividend income that you could reap from a Roth IRA that you've built significantly large, if done right, it's just stupid. Now, if you want to see my entire free index fund cheat sheet that includes even more data on top ETFs in the market, I'll have that linked in the description below for you. And while you're at it, if you want to see some of my favorite tools and resources, or want to start investing on a new platform, I'll have a direct link to our review on some of the top ones currently available in the market. At the end of the day, I want you to do what's best for your finances, but do know that depending on the ones you choose, I may earn a commission for it, which is greatly appreciated. And as always, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notifications button for future content like this.